The Incredible Hulk may have been released all the way back in 2008, but the movie is just as popular now as it was back then. It marked a new beginning for the series and gave fans a much more updated look at the classic and iconic character. However, plans for a sequel have been repeatedly scrapped, but there's still hope that the Incredible Hulk will see the light of day eventually. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. Let's take things back to 2008 for a moment, shall we? It was a much different time back then. Britney Spears had just begun making her infamous comeback, the Twilight Saga was in full swing, and Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt had just welcomed twins. For the Marvel Comics universe, things were just getting started. When the studio released The Incredible Hulk, they were still a very small studio with no proven track record. The idea of creating a series of movies and television shows based on comic characters that were created more than 50 years ago seemed like a serious gamble. Still, Marvel kept their noses to the ground and put out some amazing films over the next few years. These days, any new MCU film is guaranteed to be a success. However, back then, no one knew what to expect. Thankfully, they managed to work things out and give us some amazing films, including The Incredible Hulk. What you may not know about The Incredible Hulk is that Edward Norton, the actor behind The Jolly Repent Giant, says he was originally contracted for 2 movies. He says these films would have taken the story in a much different direction, but it has always been unclear why the studio scrapped the plans for a sequel. If we take a look back at some of the statistics when the film was released, it was a major success. No, it may not bring in the same amount of money that many other Marvel films bring in these days, but this was their first big shot at something amazing. At the box office, the movie brought in about $264 million. That nearly doubled the original investment. According to Marvel, this movie was part of their Phase 1 plan. Marvel had been diligently working on a plan to rebrand themselves in hopes of remaining relevant in the coming years. They faced many ups and downs along the way, but Marvel has now become one of the most iconic brands of all time. During Phase 1, they were doing their best to introduce viewers to newer versions of some iconic Marvel characters, and Hulk was one of the first ones on the list. Ed Norton spoke about his time working on The Incredible Hulk in the late 2000s and said that he had mentally prepared himself to be in 2 films, and it seems like he was pretty excited about this. What you may not know about Ed Norton's time working on the Hulk is that he was only given the chance to portray Bruce Banner after Zach Penn left the series. Zach had previously been in charge of the project, but he decided to leave before it was finished, opting to work on the Grand instead. Because of this, the casting department had to go back to the drawing board. Though they managed to hit a home run when Ed Norton walked into the room, at the time they were not only looking for a new lead writer, but also a lead actor. As fate would have it, Ed Norton was both. He says he spent much of his childhood reading the Incredible Hulk comic series. He knew what this movie needed to do for the series, so he set out to make that happen. This was one of his most important projects since becoming an actor and a writer, and he gave the series his all. He says that he jumped on board as soon as he heard what Marvel was planning. He wanted to take things in a different direction than most viewers might expect, and he wanted to give the film a much darker tone, portraying the Incredible Hulk as more of a victim than a monster.
In control? No, not control it, but I don't know, maybe aim it.
And what if you can't?
While this may be a bit cliche these days, Ed Norton was at the forefront of this movement, showcasing some of our favorite superheroes in a much darker light. He took a lot of inspiration from Batman: The Dark Knight and wanted to apply the same logic to the Incredible Hulk. After showing that the Hulk was truly the victim all along, Ed's next plans were to show how Bruce Banner had learned to live in harmony with his alter ego, with this storyline set to appear in the second film, but that film would never come. Ed Norton has been pretty quiet about his plans for a sequel, likely because he's holding out hope that it will one day be produced, so he obviously doesn't want to spoil too much about the plot. When asked about the movie on several occasions, Ed has said that the second film was supposed to explore Bruce Banner as a conscious dream, the guy who can handle the trip. This seems to be referencing Bruce's inability to control himself when he turns into the Incredible Hulk. We know that the first film touched on this idea briefly, with Bruce having flashbacks about the awful things he had done while trapped in his green body. However, the film never fully explored the depths of these flashbacks and the grief they caused Bruce. It seems as though the plan was to have Bruce experience his moments of being the Hulk, similar to how someone would experience a lucid dream. In lucid dreams, the dreamer is fully aware that they are in a dream, and the person is able to control the outcome of a dream. If things begin to take a dark turn, the dreamer would be able to change the course of this and do literally anything they want. This is how Ed planned on Bruce Banner experiencing his Hulk transformation. This would have given him an opportunity to redeem himself and right his many wrongs.
You're being a little paranoid, don't you think?
As the years passed by, it became increasingly clear that a sequel to The Incredible Hulk would not be happening. One of the big reasons behind this is because Marvel decided to part ways with Ed Norton. Even though Ed had the heart and soul of the series in mind from the very beginning, it seems like he didn't play well with the executives of Marvel. And for a good reason. Ed felt as though they were taking the movie in a much different direction than it was originally intended. In the end, there were rumors that more than 70 minutes of footage would be cut from the film, completely destroying the character development of Bruce Banner and stripping away many aspects of the film that would be revisited in the sequel. At this point, Norton was furious and he had lost all hope for Marvel to reinvent the franchise. He met with Marvel executives during the editing process and voiced his concerns about the direction they were taking the movie. Ironically, he and the executives resorted to anger and shouting at one another to get their beliefs across, with Ed leaving the meeting in a rage. It wouldn't be too long after this that he would be removed from all future Hulk projects. Marvel announced that they would no longer be working with Ed Norton, saying their decision was rooted in the need for an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members. But ultimately, this would become irrelevant when Disney purchased Marvel Studios in 2009. It didn't take long for fans to learn that the distribution rights of Hulk films belonged solely to Universal Pictures. This means Disney cannot produce a Hulk film without giving Universal a large portion of the profits. Even now, more than a decade later, Disney has made no attempts to purchase the rights for the Hulk series, with Mark Ruffalo, Ed Norton's replacement, even going as far to say that another standalone Hulk film will never ever happen. Instead, it seems like Hulk has been absorbed into the Avengers universe so that Disney can avoid costly revenue sharing with Universal.
You don't understand a word I'm saying, but if you'll just get back.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos.